Okay, so welcome everyone. Good to have you here. So welcome to everyone listening to this online. So last week, on Thursday, I think, I tried to record one of the questions of Peter, but it didn't record. It's just a flat recording, so we go through it this time again. So Peter has asked, you told me that to master the meditation technique I should try to repeat the same technique over and over again, especially when I think it does not pay off. It would sound logical that the same applies to staying present in daily life. As I've been reading a lot about mindfulness and Buddhism lately, I sometimes lose sight of the best way to deal with thoughts and emotions. What general technique would you recommend in your daily life? In a normal state and in an unbalanced state when thoughts or emotions have got a hold of you? So yes, well, in order to master anything, in order to get good at anything, it is important to repeat consistently the same thing. That is basically true for all kinds of, things that we do as a human being. Like it might be just as a carpenter, like creating furniture, or as an artist or something like this. It's the consistency that is key. So when you're doing something repeatedly over and over again every day, you're getting good at it. There is no doubt about this. And the same is true for meditation too. If you sit down and you do your meditation regularly every day, at a specific time, for example, or setting aside every day a slot where you say, okay, I'm going to devote some time every day for meditation, and you practice the same kind of technique in the same way, then you're developing a skill. Let's say, for example, you're taking just the first step of the meditation technique, relaxing through all the body parts, feeling your legs as you breathe in, breathing out, relaxing your legs. And you do that over and over and over again. You'll discover deeper layers each time that you do the technique consistently. It is not a broadening of experience, or like you're kind of adding on to the experience, more a deepening of the experience. So you're diving into the experience and you discover deeper layers to the experience itself, the experience of meditation. Now when you're relaxing through all the body parts, many people make a fundamental mistake in such a structured kind of meditation. They want to get to the next step. I feel like, well, when is it time for me to move on to the next step? I've been relaxing through my legs since 3 months now. I feel like I want to do something else. That in itself is being not contented, is it? We're not feeling any contentment with what we are doing. So how could we ever relax and be more peaceful if we're discontent? We're feeling unhappy with the way it is. It's the basic human tendency, it's a basic tendency, you can say, of suffering, to strive to some other state, to be in conflict with the way it is, to rebel against, to fight against the isness of this moment, the suchness of life. But we've been doing that since ever. The human history is a succession of human beings being unhappy with the way it is, and thus like going to do what they do over and over again, the same thing. Since millennia, thousands of years, it's the same history repeating itself over and over again, and would only change, in fact, if human beings would learn to be happy and content with the way it is. And that is utopian. You can't go around and say, people, just relax, be happy. Learn to enjoy yourselves. impossible. It's almost like we don't want to enjoy ourselves. We want to look at things that we dislike. We're constantly busy with, this is wrong and that doesn't work. Well, we need to get out of this now. And that tendency also is reflected in our meditation process. So, I've been relaxing now for 15 breaths into my legs. When can I move on to the belly? Many times I receive this kind of question. When to get to the next step? How do I know whether I should now move on in my meditation session to the next step? Basically, the goal of it is to enjoy yourself with what you're doing right now, whether that is relaxing into your legs or into your belly, or staying with the sounds and feelings in the present moment, or witnessing the emptiness of thought and so forth. Be there fully, enjoy yourself fully with it, so until there is no need for yourself to move on. You don't feel anymore like, I need to get somewhere else with this. I need to kind of progress to the next step. Because this in itself is quite stressful. That wish to move to somewhere else. So, in order to master the meditation technique, you want to repeat consistently the same thing over and over again, and also learn to be content with it. Or learn the art of contentment, being happy with what is, as it is. And then also going away from the so-called fault-finding attitude that finds fault with the way it is and zooms in onto the mistake, the problem, solely for the purpose of feeling miserable about it. That is also a tendency that is opposing to being content with the way it is. For example, you're with your legs, breathing in, feeling your legs, breathing out, relaxing your legs. There's one tendency that wants to get to the next, and it is based on feeling unhappy with the way it is. So there's this conflict going on. You're feeling your legs, but there is this resistance, it's an energetic resistance to your legs. And that is suffering. You're suffering your legs. So we need to learn to become very soft also in our attitude. What helps a great deal is gratefulness, gratitude. Being grateful for your legs, kind to your legs, feeling those things that are good, that counteracts the fault-finding attitude. Oh, that's wrong with my legs. But there's also so much right with your legs. There's so much good with your legs. Can you feel that too? Oh, that's wrong with my spouse. This kind of attitude is everywhere. That's what's wrong with my life. That's what's wrong with this village, with my neighbors, with the people that surround me. That's what's wrong. And I feel terrible about it. Something needs to be done. And for something to be done, then we need to kind of focus on a solution, right? Like, let's say you want to get rid of violence in your village. Then the only way to get rid of violence is by paying attention to that which is opposing violence, which would be kindness, and enhancing the kindness in your village. So you might get together with people who say, all right, we all want to get rid of the violence, so let's get together and increase the level of kindness to give a counterbalance to the violence that is going on. That's the way to heal violence. And bring in more kindness into the scenario, more kind people. More people are relaxed. You have a stressful society, you need more people that are relaxed. You cannot go into an office and shout and scream at people to be more relaxed. Like, guys, you have to be more relaxed. You're not relaxed enough. It doesn't work like that. I hate you for being so violent. That in itself is violence, isn't it? And that in itself is resistance to the way it is. It perpetuates violence, keeps it spinning around. Just yesterday I saw like some picture from Turkey. There were protests going on against the government. I have no clue what exactly is going on, but some protesters, they were doing this kind of protest that was completely silent. They were just standing on a big place together quietly. I think you shared it, Tico. Not quite sure.
Well, I read news on Arabic, the peace the president has.
Yeah. But anyways, to make it short, there are all these people standing quietly on a big place. They're all standing together, they're not shouting, they're not screaming, they just stand and watch. Like standing in unison, quietly. It's a very powerful way of protesting. Because it ups the quietude. And it even becomes more powerful if it would be a very kind silence. If people all over the world would start more and more to get together and be quiet and happy with the way it is. Or if they cannot yet be happy, to learn to be happy with themselves in quietude. That would be a solution to so many conflicts. More and more people who refuse to act violently, to support violence with their attention, with their resistance, with their force. To learn the art of being happy with the way it is, to relax into the way it is, until you don't need anything else. You feel content and good. And that way inner happiness grows and has a very powerful effect also. It's a rippling effect. You're radiating a certain energy that is calm, is very beneficial for those who are surrounding you. If it is agitated, angry, hateful, then also it will go into resonance with these emotions in other people too. So we are repeating the same technique over and over again. I have now covered what is standing in the way to doing this properly. Like dedicating ourselves to peace, committing to peace, and starting right here. Not demanding other people to be peaceful, but, being peaceful. About allowing other people to be... What that means is you allow other people to suffer, basically. They have a right to. They have a right to suffer. Suffering is a teacher. For some people, they need to suffer a whole lot more before they can wake up and realize, damn it, what am I doing to myself? I have to stop that. I'm hurting myself in the end. And then there's a waking up process. It's like we either collectively suffer the world together, or we decide to stop it. And it has to start within ourselves. There's no way that with your suffering and your stress, you can make the world a more peaceful place. Forget it. It hasn't worked ever. But with your peace, with your calmness, with your kindness, you can make the world a better place. It's like this. Many people, they accuse us meditators. They say, you guys just sit around. You do nothing. You make no difference in the world. And I agree. Some people do that. They just sit around. They just shut themselves out. They say, all right, I don't care about the world. It's a messy place. I don't want to make a difference. The world is lost anyways. That's not a proper attitude. It's very important to make a difference, but you do so with your peace. You do not make a difference with your anger, with your outrage. That doesn't make a difference. It just makes more anger, it makes more outrage. It doesn't make more peace. Peace makes more peace. That's what we need more of. It's really simple stuff, actually. So, especially when I think it does not pay off, he says, I should try to repeat the same technique over and over again, especially when I think it does not pay off. Not necessarily, I would say. You want to take it easy, because when you feel like it does not pay off, and you feel that for many, many sessions, might be something wrong with your approach, or it might be something wrong with the technique you're using, it doesn't work for you. You want to change. Not just stubbornly move on and kind of ride a dead horse. It doesn't work, it doesn't work. You need to find a horse that's alive. You can ride that one. But so yes, you have to kind of use your discernment, your wisdom to see, well, why does it not pay off? And I can tell you it doesn't pay off because this is the case in all cases actually. Why do things not pay off? Because we're not here. We're not present. We're looking for something else still. For something to pay off. There's always this kind of, we're looking for a happy ending. Like, when I do that hard enough, then it pays off. So our action is very stressful and tense in the hope that it will lead to a relaxing state. Like, if I work hard enough, I can enjoy retirement. The fact is, most people don't enjoy retirement. They have a lot of appointment with their doctor when they're old. Many people don't have the luxury to actually enjoy the retirement because it's a lifetime of stress, and suddenly you have no more work. And many people are very frustrated about this. They start to do random things and kind of feel unhappy with the way it is. That is also something that experiences a trend that is changing. There's more awareness nowadays also. People discover more and more meditation, using your mind, cultivating happiness, being grateful and so forth. So these kind of things are on the rise too. So it helps more and more people to also enjoy their retirement. But if you work a lifetime based on the idea that relaxation is something that comes later, particularly when you are super stressed right now, the relaxation will be that much of a greater reward later. The more you are stressed now, the more you can enjoy it later. Well, of course, that doesn't work. Well, because all the stress that we accumulate throughout our lifetime, that will then be reflected also in old age. It's a habit, it's a tendency that carries on. So if you want to enjoy your life, you can only ever do that now. And this is not about paying off. This is about actually recognizing how rich you are. You're not operating from a sense of lack. The payoff idea, it always comes from a sense of lack. I feel lack right now, so I do a lot, and I hope it will pay off. It is based on lack, so how can it produce anything that is different than lack? Did you see the way we live in our life? It is going from lack to lack to lack to lack, with only short kind of moments when we think, yes, that's it. Oh, that's very nice. It quickly fades, and then there's the next lack. The next thing you need, the next thing we strive for. So if you really want to experience peace and relaxation, you have to learn to drop the sense of lack. on which this statement, especially when I think it does not pay off, is based. There is nothing that pays off other than this moment. And it's not a paying off thing. It is simply realizing that you are life. You're not the owner of it. You're not the one doing it. You are it. So then he goes on, it would sound logical that the same applies to staying present in daily life. Yes, it does. This is the practice. Repeat that again and again. Remember that you are here already. Are you not already here? Have you not just arrived? What is it that is always and only just here? Ever. You could say, I'm here every single moment in your life, and it's true all the time. Whereas I'm not here yet is a lie. Or I was here is a lie. I am is a statement of truth. I am outraged. I am happy. I am this. I am that. It becomes more complicated already. You're straying off your original nature. The most simple things like I am, presence, that point where you are right now, that's where the magic happens. That is where meditation happens. This is where spiritual progress happens. Material progress is very important. Progress of societies, very important. Progress in your relationships, in your families, health-wise, very important. Take care of it. But equally as important as these kind of progresses is spiritual realization, which is for most people, unfortunately, totally neglected. We're sacrificing our heart on the altar of money, gain, body, and so forth. And then many people are depressed. We feel empty inside. Something is missing. Something is not complete. Life is a series of complaints and problems, apparently, that have to be solved. Series of complications in that state. Because we're spiritually malnourished and empty. That is a very important aspect of life. That originally religions should fill that. Religions are usually there to actually give people that. The spiritual wealth. But if the religion is kind of presented by people who are materially mostly interested, then it becomes a material system with hierarchies and dogmatic systems and so forth, which doesn't serve anything else than to, like, kind of for traditions to be passed on from parents to children, but no waking up being passed on. No actual wakefulness, mindfulness, awareness being passed on. Just stuff like, here is how you need to hold the incense. You need to use 3 incense joss sticks to put it into the sand there, and you need to shake them before you put them into the sand. You need to prostrate 3 times. You need to kind of do the cross on your, and then left first and then right, and it's empty. If your parents would teach you to do hula hoop in a church and say that is a very holy thing to do, everyone would be doing hula hoop, and it would be just perfectly respectful and holy to do that. The hula hoop rings in the church every time, and when you come in, you would have to kind of put on one of those and just do a little bit of hula hoop. And you do that instead of other movements, but it's just movements. It's just movements, empty movements. We enter a temple, we do empty physical movements without any awareness of the self, without any seeing the mind, seeing through all these patterns and traditions and cultural influences, seeing to the base of it. I suffer and I want to get out of it. What's the way out? How can I stop being miserable about life? It's the core question. Do you have to suffer? Is it necessary? These are the core questions. So he goes on, as I've been reading a lot about mindfulness Buddhism lately, I sometimes lose sight of the best way to deal with thoughts and emotions. Yes, that is a classic also. Very often when we read a lot, we lose sight. Because there's so much to be read, there's so many opinions, so many people writing books, so many different wordings. And if we get attached to these wordings, then yes, in the end you end up confused because that master says this and that master says that. Now who's right? Reading about mindfulness versus practicing mindfulness is a two different pair of shoes. In my own case, for example, I very often notice that I'd rather read about mindfulness than actually be mindful. It's more convenient. Because when I would have to be mindful, I have to put up with my resistance to this moment. My basic discomfort with just being. It's difficult to sit down and just be. Just be at ease. Just sit there. I'd rather take out my phone or a book and read a little bit more about mindfulness. About other people just sitting there peacefully. Wow, and then that master, he sat for this and that amount of time and he was very peaceful and enlightened, and I'm like, wow, that's awesome. I should sit more. Or I should be a bit more mindful. Then I close the book and then I go right to answering emails. After having answered emails, I go right to checking out Facebook. Then I go right to the next thing. Then there's an appointment. Then there's already lunch. So it just goes on and on. It's non-stop. You have only the chance to really wake up now. And that's what the practice is all about. Whether you're having lunch or you're meeting with someone or you're giving a presentation or whatever it is, be here. Be awake to what is. For example, for me right now, I mention that all the time, it is about being wakeful to the fact that there is talking going on. And when there are gaps in between the talking, then I'm aware of the silence. Just feeling the body as it sits there, for example. Can I do that all the time, non-stop? No. But I aspire to. There's an aspiration. And then when the actual practice kicks in, the aspiration drops. Then I'm just here again. Everything's just fine. And then there is again another input of aspiration, making me wake up to this moment, then the aspiration drops, and then I'm just here again. And so I repeat that until it becomes a natural habit that your mindfulness repeats itself. It wakes you up all by itself. You're reminded of mindfulness all the time. You just cross the street, suddenly you feel like, whoa, wow, I'm walking. It just kicks in all of a sudden. It's because you're well trained and you want that. I sometimes lose sight of the best way to deal with thoughts and emotions, he says. The best way to deal with thoughts and emotions. Well, the best way might always be that way that works best for you, to transcend thoughts and emotions, to come into a state that is kind of behind thoughts and emotions. You're not trying to get rid of thoughts and emotions. You're trying to get behind them. You want to allow them to exist. That's the way it works for me, at least. Allowing thoughts and emotions to be there. They're fine. They're not our enemies, fortunately. And find that which is already silent, even though there are thoughts and emotions. But there is something that's already silent. You can feel it in your body, for example. Or you feel it by being present, here and now. There's something that's quiet. The mind might be going chatting about whatever. There might be an emotional kind of texture in the background. That's fine. It is allowed to be there. But there is a silence to you that is deeper than those things, emotions and thoughts. You might discover that. This is how it works for me. Instead of battling away thoughts and emotions, in the hope that I will end up with a few moments of silence, this is hopeless. It just doesn't work. It's like trying to make everyone in the village quiet for 10 minutes because you want to meditate. Good luck. It's never perfect silence. It's like trying to make everyone around you nice and kind for a little while so you could enjoy your life. Like no one looking in the wrong way at you, no one getting off on the wrong foot, no one having a bad mood, so you can enjoy yourself. It's not possible. So you need to find something that is already joyful regardless of the world, regardless of how mad the world is. There's something that's already at peace, that's already joyful. You can find it in this moment, you can find it deep within. And it is a natural result of practicing mindfulness and practicing awareness that is beyond labeling and words. That's what we do in meditation practice. We're cultivating a state that is beyond labeling things. You're just receptive and open to feelings and sounds. Noticing that every now and then you're not labeling anything. Paying attention to that. That's the silence. And bring it into your daily life. Play with it. Have fun with it. So it might be, for Peter, it might be the case that it might be better to close the books again for a while and just practice more, put more emphasis and weight on practice. I would generally recommend to read and study and watch videos every now and then to keep you motivated and fired up for the practice. Inspired. Listening to talks. Reading a book. And then also staying within the lineage in which you practice. Also important. If you're moving around a lot now, I'm reading a little bit about Hindu non-dual teachings. Then next I read about the Tibetan Gelug texts. Then I read about some southern Buddhist texts from Sri Lanka. Then that master is quite good. And then Osho is also pretty good. And then that is good. And this, you're ending up really confused. Need to be in one lineage. They're all good. All these lineages are fine. They're all allowed to be there. They all lead to very specific results. That is fine. But once you practice, it's really important to stay within your lineage and learn properly, following the technique and so forth. What general technique would you recommend in your daily life, in your normal state, and in an unbalanced state, when thoughts and emotions have got a hold of you? Well, allow that to be the case. Allow a thought or an emotion to be there. First of all, it's always coming into a state of recognizing, oh, thoughts and emotions are there. So you're recognizing that you are an emotional human being that has thoughts and emotions, that has feelings. Is that okay? Are you allowed to have an angry feeling sometimes? And it might turn into a guilt trip sometimes. You're angry and then there's something else in you that arises after that goes, oh God, I'm angry. I shouldn't be angry because I'm a Buddhist. Maybe it's like this. And then there is guilt. Now, is that guilt allowed too? Not making a big deal out of it, like I should or I should not have those feelings, but rather just noticing, doubt is like this. Guilt is like this. Anger is like this. Have a look at it. How is it like? Where do you feel it in your body? You come into your body and you allow the energy to dance in your body without making a big mental story around it. You're silently allowing the feeling to dance through your body for as long as it needs to dance, without giving it resistance and fighting. You're hurting yourself with that. You're not allowing your feeling, and that's a tricky thing, you're not allowing your feeling so that you get rid of it. That's also what happens very often. Okay, so I'm feeling an emotion. Very often I feel the emotion of anger, let's say. And so Tobi suggests to allow my anger. Okay, I'm going to do this technique now. I'm going to allow my anger now. But then there is a hope underneath that. I'm allowing my anger, so hopefully it goes away. There's still resistance. You're operating from resisting yourself. You feel that somehow you are not right enough yet. You're not proper enough of a human being just yet. First you need to get rid of your anger, so then you can be fully a human being. The anger is part of you. By neglecting it, by pushing it aside, you're making things worse. By expressing it, you're making things worse. By suppressing it, you're making things worse. So neither suppress it, fight against yourself, basically. A fight in your head. Nor expressing it and kind of making the virus of anger spread into the world, infecting other people with it. Learn to give it space. And the way it works for me, in very simple terms now, is feel the body. And train yourself to just feel the body. Slowly allowing the stories, the labeling, the thinking to fade into the background. Make the body's sensations more important than the words that are surrounding them. Just feeling. I'm here, I'm just feeling the body. And I give no importance whatsoever to thought. I don't even care whether there is thought or not. I just feel the body. Thought is just children playing in the background for me. They just play over there, it's fine. Not my business. It's thinking. It has no importance. Feeling has all the importance. Feel. Breathing in, does the feeling change? Breathing out, does the feeling change? How? A little bit? A lot? Upwards? Downwards? Does it expand or contract? It's another type of language that we need to learn to listen to. The language of feeling. Feeling without labeling, without narrative. That's what works for me. As soon as we come out from thinking, problems end. Right there. As soon as you're thinking, you have a whole lot of problems. Thinking is the food of the problematic ego, the one addicted to suffering. I have problems, therefore I am. That is what ego is all about. I hope to get out of problems, therefore I am. But it will never get out of them. Hoping to get out of problems, just another problem. Ego will not get out of problems. No matter how hard it tries, it will not attain enlightenment. It will not grow into anything extraordinary or amazing. All that stuff is already way above the ego. The ego is just a thought formation. And we drop that, problems end right there, on the spot, directly. You don't have to, but you can, if you like, try. What happens when you don't think? In these moments, is there a problem? When you're not creating a past and a future mentally, when you're really fully here, is there a real substantial problem? Just have a look. Discover it. Train your mind so you can stay awake long enough to see. You're not falling back into the dream of your mind. Well, there is nothing. I see nothing. What am I supposed to see? I'm just sitting around here and nothing is happening. That is thinking again. You need to stay awake long enough that the mind is quiet. Just hearing the fan, the wind, feeling the body, just feeling, just energy. Is there a problem? It's like turning on the lights in an empty room, finding out that, oh, there is no sofa in the room. It's an empty room. There's no sofa there. I thought there was a sofa, but there is none. It's the same thing. You think you have a lot of problems. As soon as you stop thinking, you're just here. That's the process of enlightenment. That's how it starts. And that has depth. You're going down into, you're diving down into that state of no thought. This is where life is revealing itself so fully. In that state, you are ultimately rich. There's nothing that lacks. Everything is perfect. But as soon as thoughts come in, like, what does he mean everything is perfect? My life, there's many things that are not perfect. This is not perfect, and I don't like that, and I don't agree with this. That is thinking again. Now we need to realize this again and again. Get out of words. Feel your life. See what is real and what is just a story in your head. That will have a big impact when you really see this. Seeing beyond thinking. Okay, so I think it's pretty much enough for today. Thank you very much for coming.